All of the DLC? That's cool. Wait, $5? Thanks for commenting this tip on my last video. We just got this notification that we're being threatened by epidemics. My god. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Trial by Pneumonia series. Proceeding with this massive change in DLC is absolutely not recommended, so let's see what breaks. Well, everything seems to be okay. We have lots more things to do now though. Well, firstly, look at that magnificent portrait. There's so much more character to that. So, childhood focuses, when we're educating them, we can also give them a focus. So, clearly this person's going into some sort of martial thing. We want him to really focus down on the martial side of things, rather than a more rounded rulership thing, which is I think what these are, but I've never played with this before, so I don't know. So, we're moving into where I'm learning along too. But hopefully this will mean he gets a strong martial position in this other dukedom. His twin, however, who is betrothed to the Duchess of Tremavia, has gone down the stewardship route. So we're going to go for thrift for him and hope he becomes either the steward or is actually granted lands in Tremavia to govern them. The final child we need to pick a focus for is Mildred, our quick daughter who is betrothed to Lazarus, the Basilius of the Byzantine Empire. Now, they appear to have less options available to them. I think this is because they're older, because if we see, it mentions traits they may already have that would affect their education. So as they are about to age up, you may change your mind depending on how the child has developed. I think that's what's going on here. So we're actually going to go with intrigue, because that's they've got really good intrigue. I mean, 7 base is very high before their education, so they could become the spy master of the Byzantine Empire, which is going to be really good for helping Lazarus retain power and therefore keeping our dynasty in that powerful position. Remember, we're trying to win crusades, and if we get Jerusalem, we're going to be right next to the Byzantine Empire. So actually, that's going to become a really powerful relationship if we can maintain that with more marriages as we go with new characters. It looks like the next thing we need to do is choose which part of our domain we're going to focus on. These are the 5 counties we hold personally. There's some kind of prosperity mechanic now as well that is part of the Plagues DLC, so places can become much less prosperous. They can effectively be wiped out and destroyed, or you can build up an extremely prosperous, very urbanized, dense society there that becomes quite wealthy, I think. So we're going to focus on our capital, I think. So Wessex, that is. No, Middlesex. Because that makes sense, that's where already most of our wealth is going to be concentrated. So we're going to do the classic thing of centralising all the wealth in London and completely ignoring the rest of the UK. As a northerner, I absolutely approve of that dynamic. 100%. The Conclave DLC changes how the council works. So people can be loyalists, for example, or and there's all sorts of more complicated voting. You see, there's all new tabs here. So yes, these two are loyalists, whereas these 3 are pragmatists, so more neutral. We also have more options here, so we can see the normal 3 options on the right. There's now an additional option for each councillor, so we can increase threat decay. That could be very good if we're doing a lot of conquests, because that's quite a substantial bonus. Organising the army, reduce maintenance rather than including your troop numbers. So later in the game, when you do have that big army as same before, actually you might want to switch to this to make maintaining a large retinue, that's a standing army that's always around, more practical. Administering well. So here we can improve the quality of this bit of domain. So actually, rather than collecting taxes, because we have a decent amount of money at the moment, although that is a very big bonus, I'm going to try developing the domain a bit more, because hopefully it'll have better long-term bonuses, and we'll see what events come up with that. Now here the extra option is actually 2 in, and that's to sabotage a province. However, we're not. I don't think we need to particularly do that. But maybe we could, if we did have a highly centralized enemy nation, we could sabotage their capital, and that might significantly weaken them before a war. I think that's what that's for. We'll find out. Now, it looks here that the extra option is to hunt apostates. Now, there's a very high chance there of finding them, 92.64 yearly. I don't know if that's because we have other religions currently active in our domain, but I think I'm going to focus on converting those counties first, and then we'll switch to that. And we'll see if that affects that probability. We sent out a request for a court position, and very quickly we found this witch, who is apparently what's available, and they are a mystic, so they're going to do some weird stuff, and they require a vial of our blood in order to become our court physician. Now, that doesn't sound like a particularly great idea, because an infection is -2 health. Again, we're 65 and we're already stressed, which cancels out the family focus health bonus. To be fair, our realms are quite a good position at the moment, so dying wouldn't be too bad. Do you know what? Let's go for it. I've also just noticed that our son is now our heir rather than our brother, and it seems that one of the things that has broken by updating the game is that our succession kind of switched to Gavelkind. That means our titles will be split amongst our children. That's really quite bad, because that means, yes, we have quite a lot of children because of the family focus, which is great for marrying them off, but we're going to lose all of our domain to all of our many children, and our son will be left with just the capital, which is really not going to be good for his ability to maintain his position on the throne. So we're going to have to change that. Now, in order to change the succession law, there are some new requirements. We need late feudal administration. We need different kinds of administration. So there's all sorts of other things going on here. And so it's just not possible to upgrade that. So our cultural technology, our legalism specifically, needs to be more advanced for us to get those better succession types now. That's what some of these DLC have changed. So that's going to mean that throughout history, realms do get more consolidated power through their laws, through how their succession works, which makes a lot of sense. That's a sensible change. However, it is now going to limit us to either switching to seniority or back to elective. Even elective would actually be better than Gavelkind, because although it's not guaranteed that our dynasty will inherit, it does allow us to keep that power as long as we can keep our vassals on side to vote for the right person. Whereas Gavelkind guarantees that power is going to be split. Now, another option is seniority, and actually I think I'm going to go for this one, because it's the best. It absolutely guarantees that our dynasty inherits, and it guarantees that all of the titles are inherited by the same person. It also means that all of the characters that get pneumonia are going to be really old. So this, I think, is going to make this gameplay's this series twist far more entertaining. So seniority is what we're going to have to do. In order to do seniority, we need to get all of our count and higher tier vassals on side. So looking at our vassals here, most of them are fairly happy. However, they've got this bonus, so they are powerful vassals and they expect to be on the council. So that was sort of implied in earlier versions, but see, there's a very now explicit mechanic. So we really are going to have to switch this over. So this person's only slightly worse, but they are a powerful vassal, so we'll get them on board. In terms of our marshal, looks like we're really going to have to slump down in terms on quality in order to get someone powerful. This High Chief of the Isles, oh god, he's a kinslayer, and of course he did that revolt. This is really quite a dangerous person, it seems, but yes, they're definitely quite powerful at the moment, so we need to keep them on side, and that's made a huge difference in terms of their opinion of us. So clearly this is absolutely essential. And luckily here, the Duke of Cornwall is actually brilliant at stewardship. He's actually already an upgrade, so I've got no problem with that change. And our court chaplain we're going to leave the same, because we don't have any higher tier vassals than just small bishops at the moment. And Spy Master is quite a dangerous position, so I'm definitely going to keep that with our wife, who is very much likes us, actually is our lover as well. That's what that aura shows us. So that's going very well, and we're going to keep that way. The only vassals that have a negative opinion of us are Cornwall and our tribal vassals up in Ireland and up in the Hebrides. These might be problematic, or maybe we can just send them a gift. See, because they're tribal, they have very little money, so that could work. I'm a bit concerned that this one is in prison, but that's probably because he is a heretic, and this larger tribal duke here is actually Christian, so maybe taking action against him. We don't have high enough crown authority that can just instantly revoke his titles for being a heretic, though, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And of course, there's this person that hates us because we invaded and took their land to make them our vassal. But perhaps we can repair that with money as well. And actually we can. It would be enough just to tip it over from being negative. So I'm going to wait until our Chancellor gets Cornwall on side. I sent him over to improve relations. Then we can send off that money and get the old people with pneumonia going. Actually, with the Duke of Cornwall, one of the reasons that he had a problem with us was that this vassal here wasn't under him, when rightfully they should be. But actually, by waiting for them to request that, we were able to get a favour on them, which is another complex mechanic where we can force their hand in a vote even if they disapprove. So that's turned out brilliantly. So we're going to send off this money now to these tribal vassals and change the law to seniority and let the old people home plague begin. Who was the Count of the Hebrides that we gifted money to earlier to get that law passed, has now usurped the Isles. So this is a very turbulent area, these tribal lands. And we'll make him our new marshal. And actually, he's much better than the previous one. So that's quite good for us. And we could see as the amount of Germanic land in our realm has decreased, the chance of that apostate found event does seem to have decreased also. Now, they're not under any of my direct lands, so my vassals will address that slowly themselves. So actually, I'm now going to focus on hunting apostates and see what events come up with that, because I've not seen that option before. And we're going on a bear hunt. We're going to find a big one. We did! Oh, we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We're going to have to go through it. Well, do we want to wound this person? No. An event we've got a couple of times now are Jewish courtiers fleeing persecution elsewhere in Europe. We found this person that arrived just a couple of months ago with a high stewardship, but no higher than a powerful vassal we've already got on our council. And then, this person just arrived, and they're a truly masterful diplomat, even without the highest level education trait, which is really quite remarkable. However, it was still worth going with keeping this powerful vassal on side. You can see they have 2,000 troops. That, as total, including the levies we raised from him, we only have about 8,000. So he is really a very powerful vassal, and keeping him on side is very important. But we share a lot of traits, so actually we naturally get on quite well, even without a lot of concessions. So that's a good, powerful vassal ally. I was just going to build some buildings because we've got quite a lot of money building up. And I see there's this alert that we have no hospital. So this would be part of that disease and prosperity thing I was talking about. And you can see the prosperity there is got no modifier. So it looks like we're going to have to build hospitals in all of our domain. And that will cost 100 each. I've built the hospital now, but it seems it doesn't do much as the base hospital. So in medieval times, this is just a place for you to rest up, but not when you have an infectious disease, because then you're going to get everyone else in the hospital sick. So that's what a hospital was in medieval times. But it's not giving us any disease resistance at the moment. So we're going to have to build extensions to it that do various things to help actually fight the spread of disease. However, we don't have any of the technology suitable, but we can upgrade to construction level 2 using some of our economy upgrade points. And actually we can make several other upgrades here. For example, Majesty will help slightly with the transition to a new ruler, with one less short reign year penalty to vassals' opinion of you. And we saw earlier that legalism was very important now with the new expansions of the law system with these DLCs. Looking at an example of one of those laws, actually we need marginal status of women for our wife to hold the status of spy master. However, as she had that before those rules were changed, she's in there. So she is, for this period, a spectacular case of the power behind the throne. With those technology upgrades, we can now build a sick house, which will give us some disease resistance and allow us to construct some of these further upgrades, which will give us far more disease resistance. However, these are extremely expensive, so I don't think I'm going to be upgrading the hospitals outside of our capital anytime soon. An apostasy event, finally. So, they've caught this Germanic person, or claiming potentially Germanic. They are in the court of this person who was quite recently Germanic and only recently supposedly converted. And the only acceptable option here is to burn them. And we have to trust our chaplain was correct. This is telling us, in a similar vein, that we should root out the Germanics from the Catholics in Denmark. However, if you saw the previous episode, you know how war with Denmark went. So I think I will be avoiding that one. Yes, 17,000 troops versus our 9,000 is not a great idea. So we'll focus our attention elsewhere. Oh, and they're coming thick and fast now. Of Newport, well, he's going to die soon anyway, actually, so burn. But, in terms of focusing our attention elsewhere, these new DLC I've just noticed give us, not plus kill, give us this forced vassalization casus belli, so which is really an astronomical increase in our ability to expand our realm, and border disputes, etc. All of these new, it's made having reasons for war far more streamlined. So we may be able to just sweep through Ireland and Wales, although they have consolidated a lot more since before when they were all individual counties. And, for example, this person in Wales has an alliance with France, which, while him and France combined are slightly weaker than us, isn't ideal. The disadvantage of the forced vassalization casus belli is that it is going to mean we gain vassals that really don't like us, because there's the declared war and the defeated me penalties. However, those are for us personally, and I really think Aethelstan, at 70 years old, although he's cured of his stress and he's got a very healthy relationship with his family, which is really invigorating him. So he's really clinging on there. The famous uniter of England against the Norse. We saw there at the start. We were just finishing off pushing out the Germanics. He's really clinging in there and making quite a name for himself. But I think he will die soon, and therefore, if we push out these wars now, then when we go to our next elderly relative who's going to get pneumonia, they won't have those negatives during their reign. And now that these children have become 12-year-old, they've progressed to this stage of their education focus, so it needs to be reset. Well, no, I was going to train this man to be a steward. However, they actually have got willful and playful, which give bonuses to either martial or intro. So we may actually just leave them with some good stewardship. 6 is a very good base of stewardship, without any bonus traits, to assist with the running of this kingdom, but then actually specialise them in their education in martial to bring it up to a great level. And this other child is the one that we're hoping to specialise in martial, but actually they've got idolizer, which contradicts with it martial a little bit. However, I don't think a learning education's going to serve them very well, so we'll still push through with it. And while we're declaring one of those wars, we captured a vassal of one of the people we've now vassalized. And we might remember from our first episode, releasing a vassal is an option that will increase your other vassal's opinion of you 3 for a baron level, 6 for a count level, and 9 for a duke level. And since this person's now a vassal, rather than just ransom out for 25 gold, I think free opinion across all of our vassals is a good bit of war loot to add on. And the rest of them we can ransom back to our now vassals. We've just got this notification that we're being threatened by epidemics. And if we look on here, my god, snow fever and measles are tearing through us. So this is being caused by the by that plague DLC that also adds the hospitals. Hopefully we can just beef this up a little bit, and let's focus on the leper colony here with our newfound war gains, because we don't want to go into seclusion. That's going to make us weaker. Oh no, our old man Heir has died of great pox. His son has it too. He's not caught it from his wife, so that's again more plague spreading around the place. He's killed our next old man before the pneumonia could get him. So now we've got this 43-year-old, so it's only 1 year better. He seems to be a much nicer person, but he's far less skilled, so we could have trouble running the kingdom with him. And a cat's come up. Before I think I patted the kitty, but actually if we allow it to follow us home, we get a health bonus. So this old man may outlast all the others in the Wessex Old People's Home. Now, I'm also going to look at our new vassals to see if there's family that we can marry off some of our young relatives to get them more inside. See, this one's already actually a little bit more happy than us because they're not the person that we invade with us. They're not the person who invaded. But you can see, because they're in a regular marriage rather than non-matrilineal marriage, there is already not of their dynasty. So therefore, we should be able to get a matrilineal betrothal, because it's not like it's going to matter that the heir won't be of the father's dynasty to this ruler. It'll matter to the father that his son, that his grandson won't be of his house inheriting the duchy, but he's not the one that makes the decision here. So we can marry this vassal off to our quick, turning out very well daughter matrilineally, and actually it's even better than that. It's the King of Navarra making the decision, because he is a relative of this person, and so actually this heir was over in his court at the time, which means it wouldn't even have mattered if the Duke didn't want the marriage to go ahead. And so this is the way that you can normally get sneaky marriages done. It's when weird people are making the decision relative to the people that are actually getting married. And this discontent vassal here, he's not leading a plot, so we can't just imprison him straight away. We can demand he stops backing a plot, and he's going to refuse because he hates us. He's this rebellious person. So when he refuses, that will then give us a reason to imprison him. And then, with our very low chance to succeed, he'll hopefully revolt. At which point, we can then revoke those titles. Having captured him in battle, we have won handily. Okay, we moved to allow title revocation. However, the council rejected it. If we look at our council, we only have 3 at the moment. 2 of them are loyalists, and the other I have a favour on. Now, these voted in favour. This person may not have, as I forgot to call in the favour. But the real problem here is that these other council positions are missing. So that means there were only 2 votes in favour out of 5. So it didn't pass. And we're actually going to release him from prison now that we've won that war, as for +9 opinion with all of our other vassals. And, you know, him being discontent with a completely shattered army, which isn't very big at full strength anyway, isn't much of a problem compared to +9 to all of our other vassals. See, that's almost got this guy over to positive. He wants a council seat, but we don't have one for him. Our quick daughter truly did turn out absolutely incredibly. They are pretty much linear, Lily to the heir of this duchy, so their son will become our vassal, and I'm sure they'll be educating that son. And even without that, the contribution she's going to make to her husband's state skills is astronomical. This is truly an astonishing character. And with that, I'm going to leave off the episode, because this old man is not dying. We've had a bunch of epidemics. They come up here on a little banner, but they've all passed. The hospital's done a good job, but people have been dying all around him. But he's really holding on. So, I'll see you next time.